It's an interesting time for business. Tariff and trade policies are dynamic, supply chains are squeezed, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. If your business can't adapt in real time, you are in a little bit of hurt. So how do you get full visibility and adapt in real time? Over 42,000 businesses trust NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite. It brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. NetSuite is the #1 cloud ERP for a reason. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. Real-time forecasting helps you move into the future with confidence, and with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. You spent months building towards launch day, but when the clock hits 0, your site crashes. Bots swarm, and loyal fans rage on Reddit. That's not good. Fanfare was built to stop that. Fanfare is the drop platform made for high-pressure moments, stampede-proof infrastructure, verified waitlists, and bot filters that actually work. Instead of refunds and rage, you get retention and revenue. And that sounds great to me. Your next launch shouldn't be a gamble. Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook and learn how to bulletproof your drop at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, that's fanfare.io/playbook. Hey, I get it. You've worked really hard to build up your business, and it's doing great. So great that you need help now. The most important thing for your business is to hire the right people to support it. So how can you find amazing candidates quickly? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you stand out and hire fast. And with Sponsored Jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, Sponsored Jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. And it's one of the largest databases of job seekers, too, giving business owners access to a wide range of candidates. And one of the things I love most about Indeed is the job alerts feature. I get notified when new candidates apply. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/smartpassive. Just go to Indeed.com/smartpassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/smartpassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need. This is a Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn, session number 98. Come on now, get down.
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. He sports the skinny tie at conferences, Pat Flynn.
Still using a copy-paste website? Break the template trap with Framer. Whether you're overwhelmed by traditional site builders or frustrated with cookie-cutter designs, Framer gives you the freedom to create a site that's professional, polished, and uniquely yours. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. It's free to start, allowing you to browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something on your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, parallax scrolling, scroll animations, looping animations, and much more in seconds. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting, generating starter layouts, and can even translate your entire site to any language. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of pro on the house. That's framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. Running a business means legal questions are inevitable. Is this contract or agreement solid? What can I do if a client won't pay me? Am I set up properly for taxes? Well, rather than trying to navigate all of this on your own or searching endlessly online, imagine having a law firm on your side without the high hourly rates. That's exactly what Legal Shield's small business plans offer. With Legal Shield, entrepreneurs get access to real legal support, contract reviews, collection letters, guidance on business formation, and even help handling IRS audits. Members can book consultations, upload documents through the app, and work with a provider law firm that understands small business laws in your state. You also get proactive help on tax and trademark questions so you can stay ahead of legal risks. And if a client delays payment, Legal Shield can send professional collection letters to help you recover what you're owed. all for a fraction of what traditional attorneys charge. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 98 of the Smart Passive Income Podcast. As always, I'm so happy you're here, and I can't believe we're only 2 episodes away from episode 100. That's just incredible, and I have some special guests who are going to join me for episode 100, which currently it's scheduled to go live on March 6th. That's Thursday, March 6th. So mark your calendars. It's going to be a very special show. It's already recorded, but it's going to go live then, and it's just, so special to me to have these guests on the show finally. So that's all I'm going to say. Hope you'll tune in to listen. And if you haven't listened to my other podcast, Ask Pat, which is related to this show. However, it's a lot shorter, 10 to 15 minutes an episode, 5 days a week, and I answer a voicemail question every single day for those 5 days from one of you. And it's just awesome. So thank you to those of you who have listened to it already. We're already at like 200,000 downloads after 3 weeks. I'm just so overwhelmed with the positive response for that format of the show, also answering a specific question each day. So if you haven't checked that out yet, head on over to askpat.com and you can get your question featured on the show and get a t-shirt, an Ask Pat t-shirt sent your way. We actually just finished designing them today. I had to, there was actually a couple designs before the one that we finally landed on, and I wasn't happy with them. They just were close but not there, but we finally landed on one, and you'll see it on askpat.com eventually if it's not there already. Again, thank you so much. Now, today, I have a very special guest, somebody who I love dearly, somebody who I've been working with the last 4 years. This is Jaime Tardy from eventualmillionaire.com. Her and I got together. We actually first hooked up with each other in a mastermind group. She asked me to come onto her mastermind group, and you'll hear that story in this episode as well. So in this episode, you're going to hear a number of things. Jamie's coming out with a book, so you hear a little bit about that, and we'll talk about what Jaime does at eventualmillionaire.com is she interviews millionaires. And she's interviewed hundreds of them, and so she's able to sort of see the patterns. She's a very data-driven type person, and she's able to see what the commonalities are between these people who are incredibly successful, and she's then able to share those things and those insights with us. And she shares a lot of those things in her book, of course, but a lot of those things here today as well. And at the end of the show, we talk about masterminds. It's something she's actually written a guest post about on Smart Passive Income a couple of years back, and it's mastermind groups have been just vital to my success. I would not be where I'm at without my mastermind group. So I owe Jaime dearly for asking me to join hers, and we're going to talk about how to start one, how it's set up. We talk about our own mastermind groups that we're in and what its structure, what the structure is, and what it's like every week to get on a call together, and why they're important, and all that good stuff. So let's just stop talking, Pat, and let's just get right into the episode. Okay, cool. All right, enjoy this interview with Jaime Tardy from eventualmillionaire.com.
Thank you so much for finally having me on, Pat. I really appreciate it.
Finally, because for everybody out there listening, I've been meaning to have Jaime on for so long. We've talked about it for over a couple of years, actually, I think, Jaime. So I apologize for taking so long, but I think it's perfect now because you are just coming out with your first book, which is named after your website, Eventual Millionaire. So first of all, congratulations on the book.
Thank you very much. It's crazy.
How does that feel to go from where you were to now you have a book?
I didn't think it would be that big of a deal, right? We write stuff all the time, but then I actually got the hardcover in my hands, and it was just sort of like an amazing, amazing experience.
Yeah, there's something about the hardcover and actually physically seeing this book that you worked on versus like an ebook, which, a lot of us have published ebooks before. There's just something about that physical book.
Thank you very much. Well, it's funny because my 7-year-old wanted to read it, and he just started reading, and he asked for an autograph, and I choked up, oh my gosh. So yeah, it's one of those things.
That's so cool. So when is the book coming out? Really quick, we'll talk about the book just a little bit here.
Well, it's really funny. It actually is live now. So apparently there were manufacturing things. They kept bumping around the date, but I just checked on Amazon and it went live today.
Oh, sweet. So awesome. Let's go to smartpassiveincome.com/millionaire, and you can pick up Eventual Millionaire through my affiliate link. So I'm going to buy a number of copies, and hand them out to people on my email list, most likely.
I'm sure I can give you copies, Pat. You don't have to buy a bunch of copies.
Okay. Well, I want to support you, and I bought 50 copies for Chris, so.
Oh wait. Okay. Never mind. Go ahead.
No, but I mean, we've been friends for so long, and we're going to talk about the story about how we got connected because it's really interesting. Everybody listening, just Jaime and I have been really, really good friends over the past few years, and we're in a mastermind group together. So we chat with each other every week, and occasionally we'll see each other in person, like at New Media Expo or other events, World Domination Summit. And there's just something about you, Jaime. It's so easy to get along with you. It's just, and for some reason, you know everybody. Like you know everybody. And you're really good at networking and being able to leverage those relationships that you have, not for obviously the benefit of just yourself, but to make everything better, make everybody happy. You're a connector. You've connected me with so many people, and you connect other people with a lot of other people. And I think that is partly the reason why you've seen a lot of your success lately. And I talk about this all the time on the site is a lot of what pushes us forward and helps us get to the next level are the relationships that we build with people. Would you agree?
Oh, I agree 1,000%. Actually, quite a few years ago, I didn't have any connections whatsoever, and I made a goal that I wanted to level up a lot of my connections. And so I lived in the middle of nowhere in Maine, too, by the way, of a town of about 2,000 people. So I didn't even know how I was going to make my network better, but apparently it's worked, considering all that you just said.
And then what were maybe two of the strategies that you used to do that? And would you recommend people actually create a goal for that?
Definitely, because I didn't even realize that the level of my relationships that I had, don't get me wrong, I had lots of friends, but in business, I didn't have the type of relationship that I really wanted. I mean, probably everyone's heard that quote, you're the sum of the 5 closest people. And I was like, I mean, I love them dearly, but they aren't where I want to be in life. And so being able to sort of notice that and then make the change consciously, actually, I think works much better than just sort of hoping that it's gonna turn out. Mm-hmm. So a couple of tips that I had, thankfully, we have the internet, right? So if I lived in the middle of nowhere in Maine and didn't have the internet, yeah, my network probably wouldn't be that good. But I ended up starting to really reach out to people, really trying to see who some people in the space were, who I would want to be friends with. Because to me, it's really all about becoming friends first and going out, like you said, to New Media Expo and start finding conferences that have the people that I really want to meet and get to know. That was sort of my first step, get myself out of Maine, which helped really, really a lot.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you make connections with people before you met them in person? Because I know a lot of people out there, I mean, I've talked about this before, go to events, meet people in person. There's no better way to develop a relationship than when you're in a place where you're sharing the same values and you can share stories and shake a person's hand or give somebody a hug. But how about before then? Are you making connections with people beforehand? Are you tapping them on Twitter, or are you sending them an email? And
Well, it's 1,000 times yes, actually. You didn't know you were part of my strategy way back when I first started getting into everything. So one of the things that I normally say is, create some sort of relationship before you go. Not that you're not going to make more when you're there, but when you're sort of the new kid on the block and you don't know anyone, it's kind of hard to get in because it's kind of like high school. I mean, it's not. Thankfully, everyone around is pretty nice nowadays. Mm-hmm. But in general, there's a lot of cliques and people that have known each other for a long time. So you trying to get into something like that is a little bit harder. So what I try and do is really form specific relationships outside and go, oh, I can't wait to see you in person finally. And then it creates a much stronger bond when you actually see each other in person. So just for an example, the first time I went out to New Media Expo, there were 2 people that I knew really, really well beforehand. One was you. Yay. Mm-hmm. The other one was Nathan Hangen. I don't know if you remember him. Yep. He was a speaker too. And he was actually sort of my mentor when I first started online. So I had gotten to know you guys really well. The good news is that you already knew everyone else. And all you had to do is introduce me to all your friends as a friend. And that was way easier than going in brand new, looking around like a starry-eyed kid going, I'm not really exactly sure who I should be talking to, but everybody seems nice kind of a thing. It was very strategic, actually.
But are you the type of person where it's very easy for you to talk to somebody brand new? Because I know even for me, when I first started going to Blog World Expo, it was hard for me to kind of get out of my shell and open up a little bit. I was worried if, I wasn't at the same level as these people I was potentially going to talk to, like Darren Rouse and, other people of that level in blogging at that time. I was worried that what I was going to say would be dumb or people would just brush me off. These are very common feelings that we all have, of course, but is that the type of person you were, or did you have to break through those sort of same feelings?
Definitely. I don't know that many people who don't, right? Even extroverts who sort of go out. I consider myself sort of in between the introvert extrovert, right? I can really turn it on if I need to, but sometimes I really just want to hang back. I was an art kid growing up, a geek, a big, huge computer geek and art kid. So yeah, I definitely didn't have those things just sort of out of the gate. But the cool thing is that once you get to realize that it's not that big of a deal anymore. My first blog world that I ever went to, I mean, you remember, I think I only saw you for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I was leaving and we were like, we have to see each other.
I know, I walked you to your car. That was about it with your baby.
But that was very nice of you. Thank you. And then that was it. But I mean, even those few seconds, I can remember that moment. And here we are talking about it now. So even if it's just a few seconds you're meeting somebody, it can really make a difference down the road.
Well, and I was invited to Darren Rouse's party, I remember, and I was like, oh my God, I was invited to Darren Rouse's party. You know what I mean? Everybody, when you're first getting into something and whoever the big players in the space are, you're sort of like, wow, it's amazing. And thankfully, he was super nice, right? And meeting you, like everybody, Pat, you already know this, says like, oh my God, Pat Flynn is so down to earth. Like he's exactly like I thought he was going to be, that sort of stuff, which is super cool, right? You are. It's not that big of a deal. You're just a person. But we tend to put these constructs in our minds as if they're better. I mean, that's the hard thing that I have with millionaires. Everyone's like, ooh, they're millionaires. It's like, they're just people too. Some of them are nicer than others. Most of the people that I interview, thankfully, are very nice, but in general, they're just people.
Right, absolutely. And for those of you who don't know, Jaime runs a site at eventualmillionaire.com. Again, same name as her book. And she interviews millionaires. So you seek millionaires to come on your show and you talk about, explain what your show's about a little bit.
So yeah, we really talk about their journey, like where they started, because I had lots of questions on if they ever thought they were going to be millionaires and like how they grew up and all that fun stuff. Mm-hmm. But then also the people that I interview have businesses because I'm a business coach, right? And that's what I care about. I want to know people, how they started in business, how it grew so big. And also I only interview people with a net worth of $1 million. So it's not like they have $1 million business that doesn't make any profit whatsoever. They actually have to have a net worth of $1 million as their person. So it's not about just people who are spending money like crazy. It's the people that are able to hold on to it and keep it too.
Right. And so you're not interviewing like lotto winners and things like that. These are people with business. And so let's talk about some of the people you've interviewed. I mean, you've interviewed hundreds, right? How many millionaires have you interviewed?
Over 130 now.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, even before we get to that, why millionaires? Why is that such a why is your brand Millionaire or Eventual Millionaire?
That's a really good question. So my story sort of goes ever since I was like 8, I wanted to be a millionaire. My parents were pretty poor growing up. Like we didn't have, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're sort of middle class towards when I was about 8 or 9, but at the beginning, like they couldn't even afford shoes. So I was just one of those people who sort of saw money as like the solution. And so I went after money when I was younger. I, got a great job right out of college making really good money. And I mean, I picked my major of IT because it made good money, right? And I kept sort of going after and traveling after the money. And then I had a 6-figure job when I was 22 years old and I traveled around the country. And then I sort of had this thought like, what am I doing? Because I didn't enjoy the job. I didn't like traveling. Yeah, the money was really good, but it really wasn't what I wanted to do with my life. And I sort of had a quarter life crisis at the age of like 22, 23 going, I don't really know that this is what I want to do. And that made me really shift and go, okay, if it's not about the money, what is it about? And so I really made it my journey to find out something that I actually enjoy doing instead of just doing things for the money. So I actually say that an eventual millionaire is someone who has the goal to be a millionaire, right? But eventually they want to do it on their own terms with an enjoyable life and an enjoyable business, right? That's my caveat. I don't care how long it takes me anymore. Like if I stayed in that job, I probably would have gotten to be a millionaire faster. But to me, it's really not about that anymore. It's about really enjoying my life and having the goal eventually.
I love that, Jaime. I love that, totally. Now, you've interviewed, well over 100 millionaires. So you obviously have some knowledge about, what millionaires do and what they don't do. So what are some of the common, success factors between all of these millionaires that you've interviewed over time?
So the thing that I get asked, and I think it's funny because people are like, ooh, what's the secret sauce? Or what is this thing that millionaires do that we don't? And of course, it's not that easy, which you definitely know. But I think one of the things that's really interesting is I mean, I have hundreds of pages of transcripts. Everything, by the way, is free. Even the transcripts are all on the website. So what I did was I really tried to accumulate and figure out what worked and what didn't work based on the mass of the people that I've interviewed. Because don't get me wrong, there are definitely books from gurus that are millionaires like crazy, but for some reason I'm a big data geek, right? And I really wanted to find out, like, okay, that's great. That person does this person does that. But if I take a bunch of them, what are common factors between all of them? And so one of the ones that I really like to talk about a lot, because I think it's a defining piece, it's come up over and over and over again. Even if the millionaires don't recognize it themselves, you can go through and figure it out. And it's what I like to call a no excuses approach. So it's not as though they don't have excuses, because I mean, don't get me wrong, everybody has excuses. I do. I'm sure you do too, Pat. Right? Everybody has excuses, but it's being able to put it in perspective enough and to get past those excuses. So, like, the first thing is recognizing it that it's an excuse, right? Because sometimes we can't call ourselves out on some of them. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. Blah blah blah. Like whatever it is, we don't even recognize it. So that's sort of the first piece. And then the second piece is really just moving forward anyway. I have a whole chapter on fear in the book. And if millionaires are actually scared of things, and let me just, spoil it, they totally are. And I list a whole bunch of the things that they're scared of. So don't feel like you have to be immune to this stuff. But it's still about pushing through and having that continuous forward motion anyway.
What are some of those fears that those millionaires have?
It's funny because one of the things I like to accumulate, which is actually in the book, is a whole list of quotes of all the millionaires talking about their fears. So they're like, I have fears every single day. Like, I fear this, I fear that. And it's amazing to sort of see they're just normal fears. I mean, fears of public speaking that a lot of them have actually gotten over. Right. But they had it in the beginning. So they weren't, infallible of going, no, I'm fine. Definitely fears of losing their house, of risking too much, that sort of stuff. It's very, very typical. I'm sure they're fears that everybody has had before. So it's not even as though they're, a superhero in terms of fears. It's that they're able to, of course, mitigate the risk as much as they can and keep moving forward anyway.
Are there specific things they do to mitigate those risks or get over those fears?
Totally. And one of them that I liked, and this wasn't an accumulation of a bunch, this was one specific that I really, really liked, and then I started using it and really, really loved it. I call it reappraisal, and it's actually something that therapists do. And one of the things that you do, it's sort of a tactic. So if you ever bump up against something, right, where you start feeling, jittery or anxiety or whatever it is, it's almost as if putting on a different hat, right? So the way that I like to do it is I think of, one of the millionaires that I've interviewed, because thankfully a lot of them are actually friends of mine now. So I'm very, very lucky in that. And so if let's say it was public speaking, because so many people are scared of public speaking. Well, I'd think of Hugh Culver, who's a guy that came on my show. He's a millionaire public speaker, right? That's what he does now. And if I put on the hat of who I was as Hugh Culver, what would he think of the situation that I'm going into right now? Right? He wouldn't be scared at all. He's done this 1,000 times before. It's not that big of a deal to him. And being able to sort of think with that mindset, whatever the obstacle is, if you put the mind of a millionaire on your head, it's way easier to think around that problem or through that problem than where you are at that point. So being able to really look at it from a different perspective and be like, wow, I'm really scared. And of course, owning that, oh my gosh, I'm really scared. But if I were Hugh, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. So really the situation isn't that big of a deal. It's that I'm just not ready for that situation. And sort of putting that different screen, that filter on, makes a big difference. I use it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. And I love the fact that on your site, we get to hear the story directly from the millionaire and their fears and how they got over them and the things that they did right and the things they did wrong and the mistakes they made and where they got to where they're at today. As opposed to, there was a book I read a number of times back when I first started called The Millionaire Mind by Thomas Stanley. And it was a very data-based book about, sort of the same types of things. Well, millionaires do this. People who aren't millionaires don't do that, or they do it this way instead. But we didn't get to know who these millionaires were. we didn't get the exact stories from them. It was just sort of a compilation of all these stories and things that this person has done as far as research put together. So that's why I love what you have going on here and the stories that you share. And I think, if you were to just connect with one or two people, and there's millionaires from all different niches, all different types of people, if you can connect with one or two and then put their hat on at times where you're feeling like, oh, well, you're not capable or you're not good enough, I mean, that could definitely launch you and help push you forward.
Definitely. In that book, all of Thomas Stanley books, right? Because he also wrote The Millionaire Next Door. I love those books. And I love how data driven. I know some people are not, scared away by some of the data stuff, but I said the same thing, right? He said, yeah, most millionaires are business owners when in the book. And I was like, good. What do they do? Like, what type of businesses and how did they get started? And all those questions that I wanted to ask, I just did.
Nice. Well, what's another common thing that millionaires do or have in common with each other?
So I know this sounds cliche, but I have to say it. They totally invest in themselves.
They invest in themselves. In what way?
Yes. So, and I don't mean like financially, right? It's not about like investing in the stock market or anything like that, but they really pay attention to growing themselves as people, whether it's investing, time in getting better at things, right? Hugh Culver, the guy that's done 1,000 speeches, I'm sure before, of course he's good at it. He's really put the time and the effort into getting better at it. Just like you, Pat, right? Looking at seeing where you've come for speeches is insane. Like I've watched you do so many speeches, and from the first one to the one I just saw, is insane. But I also know how much you've worked on that, right? Hours and hours and hours. So really, exactly, spending money on the stuff that matters, really putting in that time and that effort, and sometimes the pain, right? Because it's not always easy. So that pain point, a lot of the times, and I interviewed a guy named Michael Port, who I totally adore. He's a best-selling author. And one of the things he talked about is we end up bumping up against these walls, right? So whatever it is, that pain is stronger and you're like, whoa, whether it's, doing a ton of hours for public speaking and then realize like you're not prepared and like canceling it because you don't want to deal with it or whatever it is. But whatever those walls are, you have to see it and be able to get over it anyway. So he said most people, and I see this all the time, right? I have tons of listeners and people in my membership site and all that fun stuff. And I see they switch ideas over and over and over again. So they'll pick a thing and be like, oh, that one didn't really work. Oh, this one didn't really work. And they'll keep switching ideas instead of pushing through those walls and those obstacles. So really having that perseverance to get over and through the things, because it's not always easy. And you know that. Yeah. It's not always easy. Even if we really, really want it to be easy, it's not.
Yeah, that's an interesting point about the whole switching topics thing, or switching ideas, because when we have a brand new idea, we have these amazing feelings and what ifs, like, wow, this can actually happen, and all these exciting things going through our heads about the possibilities of this new idea that we have. And then once you start to do it, and then you start to be challenged, things aren't as easy, you start to doubt yourself, and then you stop. And then you move on to the next idea, which makes you feel better because you get those excited feelings again. And really those who succeed are the ones who understand that resistance, those feelings, that's just, and I've said this before, I feel like that's the universe's way of just weeding out the people who don't deserve or who wouldn't work hard enough to make something actually valuable or make it work. So it's just a way of saying, okay, here, dude, if you really want this, I'm going to test you. Let's see how bad you really want it. And if you don't want to do it or that bad enough, you're going to stop and try and go back to what you're comfortable doing, which is coming up with ideas. And ideas make you no money. Ideas make you absolutely no money. It's executing on those ideas and actually giving them a chance to unfold. And that's another thing, 50%, 90% of a project that you do, 90% of it, if you're only 90% there, which is a lot, it's 0% to the person who you're creating it for. It's nothing to them until it's actually done. So you have to follow through. And that's a big thing. With something I'm actually focusing on this year is following through. That's my motto for this year. It's like in golf. When you hit a golf swing, if you just hit to the point of contact and you don't follow through, your ball's going to go in weird directions. It's not going to go quite as far. But if you follow through and keep that club moving and around your back, you're going to hit it straighter. You're going to hit it more powerfully.
That is a topic that comes up over and over and over again in the interview. So I'm actually really excited that you started talking about this, because the funny thing is that a lot of the millionaires that I interview actually have almost like an ADD. Like a lot of them are like, I either have been tested or I should be tested, or right, because they're big opportunity seekers. They're idea people.
All of us
they
are. Everybody listening is one for sure.
Which is fun and exciting. And don't get me wrong, I did the exact same thing. When I first started, I had a provisional patent, I had an iPhone app, I had, my blog, I had all these things. And I was like, oh, and one of them hits, right? And I learned very quickly that it's not about when one of them hits, it's when you can push through those walls. But I asked millionaires how they did it, because that's the funny thing. Even when you have your own business, you still have, even if it's doing really well, you still have 1,000 ideas. And as a business coach, I definitely try and help people really decide what's an opportunity and what's a distraction. Mm-hmm. Because really, if you start pulling yourself so thin that you can't actually make progress on anything, even if you are an executor, right? Because of course, executor is step one, right? Being somebody that actually takes action is huge. But even if you are, having ideas that you run after really starts to dilute what you're doing. If you're like, well, I have 3 companies. And you're like, well, that's great, but how much are you actually spending on each one of them? So I started asking the millionaires that question, and what they came back to me was, you need at least one success, huge success under your belt before you ever start another company. And the reason why is because you really need that sole focus, that push through no matter what. This thing is gonna make it no matter what mentality, to really, really push through. And then if you can get that to a point, then it's cool to start another. So a lot of the millionaires that I've interviewed are serial entrepreneurs. And so now they have huge idea lists, right? But still, they don't necessarily just run after every idea that comes up. They actually write them down. This was actually going through a bunch of different millionaires, asking them how they deal with their ideas. They write them down in journals or notebooks, and then they can go back to them when they have the opportunity to go back to them. So even though they're all over the place with ideas, they're very strategic, because that sole focus, really having that focus to move the ball forward faster, like you said, makes a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have a shoebox of ideas, and when it's time for me to go and I have time to do another idea, I'll open that shoebox and flip through it and discuss those with other people and see what might excite me the most at that time. Jaime, can you talk about, for these millionaires here, how important are, the other people that they surround themselves with? How important are other people to their own success?
Okay, there's one quote that I utterly loved, right? And it's in the book, because when you're going through, you just assume it's the money that makes the difference to everybody. But one of the guys I interviewed, his name is Tim Hamilton. He owns a company called Astonished Designs, and he has a really cool story, but I can't get into that. What he ended up saying was, because we were talking about fear and like losing it all and what would happen. And he said that the biggest thing to him is not how much money you have, it's how amazing your relationships are. Because if you really think about it, and I actually had this same sort of aha moment when I was, paying off tons of debt and trying to figure this stuff out. My brain kept going, I'm going to live in a van by the river. If I quit my job, what am I going to do? Right. And the funny thing is that when you actually look at those fears, it doesn't make sense. I can always move back in with my parents. Not that I ever in a million years wanted to do that, but we have that as a relationship, right? And this is exactly what Tim Hamilton started talking about. He's like, I have the closest friends that would take me in a heartbeat. It's not about having, cash and that's what you need. It's about having those true relationships where if you're a friend in need, no matter what, I've got your back. And those are the things that are really, really important. Not only that, though, and what Tim talks about is it's also about being able to push you forward, right? He has a mastermind group, just like us, Pat, right? Where he meets with people and is really able to get their feedback on how things go. And a lot of the people that I've interviewed have mastermind groups and mentors and different things to really help push them forward. Because sometimes we're so stuck in our heads, we can't see it. We need other people to call us out, right? You've called me out before, Pat. I've called you out, I'm sure, about being able to, because we're entrepreneurs and we get stuck in our heads, and that's just normal, one of those things. Same thing with millionaires, right? So they have really close people that are able to call them out and help level up their game too.
Right. Now let's move away from the millionaires specifically, and let's just get into mastermind groups since you just talked about it. Like I told you, everybody listening, Jaime and I are in a mastermind group together. We've been in this group for, was it approaching 4 years now? I want to say.
Totally. 4 years. Wow.
4 years every week, mostly every week.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And, I'll tell you straight up, I would not be where I'm at today without Jaime. I would not be where I'm at today without all the other members in our group. And then I have 2 other mastermind groups that I'm a part of too. They are the most important thing to me in my business besides my audience. Because like Jaime just said, we're always straight up and honest with each other. We hold each other accountable. We share each other's goals. We help each other get there, but we also are brutally honest with each other because that's what we need from other people in order to be successful. Jaime, you were the one who reached out to me 4 years ago and asked me to join this group. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people have an issue with is, well, okay, I understand the importance of a mastermind group, and we can get into we can talk a little bit about the format of ours because I know a lot of people wonder about that too. But besides the format of a mastermind group, and understanding that that's something you should have in your life, how do you get in one, or how do you start one, or how do you create one?
Yeah. So remember how quite a few years ago I said I really wanted to level up my friendships? Well, step number 1 was getting a good mastermind group, just to tell you the truth. So that was actually the very, very first sort of action that I decided to start taking. So what I ended up doing, and it's kind of funny, I don't know if you know, I think you know how I found you. Maybe you don't. Maybe this will be news to you too, Pat.
I'm kind of scared now.
I know, right? I stalked you. No, I'm kidding. So I went on a message board. Steve Pavlina, a long time ago, had a message board, and I asked anyone if they knew anyone that wanted to start a mastermind group. And I found my very first member, which was David Hooper.
Yay!
So Pat knows him.
Yeah, he was on the podcast.
Oh, perfect!
Yeah, talking
so
about music
knows
marketing
David too.
Yeah, so he and I were in a podcast, or not in a podcast. Well, we were in a podcast together, but I guess he was I didn't know that he was the first member that you found.
He was, and he wrote a book all about mastermind groups called The Rich Switch. And so he sent that to me, and he was like, here you go. Here's my whole format for mastermind groups. You seem like you know what you're doing. Why don't we be a part of it together? I was like, wow, that works really well. And one of the things that his book really talked about, because I didn't know that much about mastermind groups to begin with. I definitely read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which talks about them, but that was sort of my extent. And what his book really said, and I think this is one of the keys that a lot of people sort of miss, they look for people that are very similar like them, that'll say, yes, no problem, right? And what David's book really highlighted for me was to try and get people that are way better than you. And of course, the question I always get is, well, how are you going to get people that are way better than you? You're just little old you. How do you get someone who's way better than you? And so like when I started our mastermind group, I should say, when we started it, I didn't know anything really online. I worked with some friends of mine that had a viral video online called EP Bird. They did Diet Coke and Mentos, crazy stuff. And they were good friends of mine. So I sort of leaned on that, like, hey, I have some online experience doing this stuff. But otherwise, that was it. Like I didn't have anything else. And being able to try and find people who were really good and already knew what they were doing was kind of tough because I didn't know what I was doing whatsoever. So the way I found you, Pat, was someone on Steve Pavlina's site had a blog and they were talking to me about maybe being in the mastermind group. And I went on their site and I found a comment from you because he had mentioned how awesome you were, I guess. And you, of course, noticed that stuff because I'm sure you have track back links and you commented on it. And I checked out your site and I was like, wow, this is awesome. I ended up finding Internet Business Mastery that way. And Maren Kate Donovan, now she owns the company Zirtual. So she was also. So what I ended up doing was I sent you an email. And I think I had read your blog for 3 days or something like that before I sent you the email. And of course, this was 4 years ago, but you still had a big audience at the time. So you were sort of a big name, especially to me. So I sent you an email with an outline of what the mastermind would be like and just sort of tried it. You said no, by the way. Do you remember?
I remember saying no.
You totally said no. And the funny thing is, a lot of people say no, right? When I asked Seth Godin or a lot of different people to be on my show, they said no at first too. But you learn, right? Don't take no for an answer. So I ended up right before we actually really started it. I started getting a couple other members, Maren Kate, someone who you knew came on board, and a couple other people that had really cool backgrounds, right? Roderick Russell, the sword swallower, crazy stuff. We had sort of an eclectic, cool mix of a bunch of people. So I just figured, why not try it one more time and just let you know, hey, we're starting in a couple weeks. I'd really love for you to be a part anyway. So I sent you another email. And you said yes, which was huge.
Do you know why I said yes?
Okay, I think you said because you had been in mastermind groups before, and this one seemed really structured because I had sent you a whole PDF of like what the structure would already be like ahead of time. And you said, I'll give it a try. Is that right?
Yes, that's absolutely the right reason, or that's absolutely why I got excited about it, because I had been a part of mastermind groups before. I was in Internet Business Mastery, and there were mastermind groups there, and we met in person actually, and they weren't structured at all. And I found that, besides a few really key sessions that were actually very life-changing for me, a lot of the later sessions just became just casual chatting, and we didn't really have focus. And then we started to play Frisbee golf, and that was fun. And I loved going to those.
I love Frisbee golf. Yeah,
get-togethers, awesome. But we didn't really talk business very much. And I love the way that it was, okay, during this time and this time we talk about this. During this time, this person's in the hot seat and they can ask these types of questions or talk about whatever. And then we talk about goals, and then we go do it again the next week. And I loved that. And I knew that I needed some structure in order to really benefit from the mastermind group. And so I wanted to give it a shot. And, I figured, hey, if it doesn't work out, then at least I gave it a shot. And then I just immediately clicked with all of you. And here I am 4 years later, still talking about the group. And we had a mastermind meeting today, and things are going really well. And again, you guys are like family to me now. So, I would do anything for you guys, and I know you guys would do anything for me. And so, just taking a risk and asking somebody to be a part of the group, just do it. You need to have this sort of group of focused people who have the same values as you. They don't have to necessarily be in the same niche, like you were saying. They don't have to be at the same level, but as long as you are each going to be there to push each other toward a specific goal of helping more people and providing more value, and also making more money as a result of that, I wouldn't trade my mastermind groups for anything in the world.
You give me chills, Pat. Thank you so much. And I think, that too. We are so blessed to be able to have you in the group. It just makes it insane. And I think that's one of the key pieces. I remember when I first started, I really wanted to get everyone's commitment, because I think that's a really tough thing, especially once a week, right? And I had small children, so I was like, I only got an hour, and better be fruitful, because I don't have a lot of time. But really trying to make sure, even some of the rules that we had set up. If you miss more than 2 meetings, the group will talk about, not having you come back. Crazy stuff like that seems really harsh up front, but what it does is it really sets up that commitment. I'm here for you, you're here for me, no matter what. And then we can start being more transparent and open. And especially since we've been together for 4 years, we can help each other, tear each other down, pick each other back up. We know each other really, really well now, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And another rule we have is just whatever we say to each other in these calls. Actually, we meet on freeconferencecall.com. Another one I'm in meets on GoToMeeting, and another one does Google Hangouts sometimes. So you don't have to be in person. None of mine right now are in person, and I like it that way just because it's more structured, and then I can go on and I don't have to travel somewhere. It's just boom, that hour I'm focused and I'm helping or getting help. But another rule we have is just whatever's said in the group stays in the group. And we have to abide by that, or else, we lose that trust. But I think that's really important. And again, it sets the tone. So those are 2 really important rules. If you're going to start a mastermind group, really make sure people commit. And we have that rule is if you miss 2 in a row, no exceptions, unless it's like a life or death situation, you're out. And so I make sure I'm there every Monday morning with you guys. And then the other one is just make sure that everybody trusts each other and knows that whatever is said, unless given permission, stays in the group. So that's really important. Now, there is a specific structure, like we talked about, to our meetings. So why don't we talk about that really quick, Jaime? Because I think a lot of people will benefit from listening to, okay, this is what a meeting is like, and then we'll just wrap up.
Oh, definitely. And I think we have that worksheet that I wrote a guest post a while ago for you, and I have a worksheet that lays it out. So you guys, if you're in the car, or, running or something like that, you don't have to write all this down. But just to go over it really quickly, it's only an hour. So we really have to be punctual on where things are because there's 5 group members. And so what we normally do is at the very, very beginning, we really talk about wins. Because even if they're super, super small, like, hey, I had a really good week and this happened, sometimes they're huge, right? Sometimes you come back and are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did that. Like today, I was like, I held my book in my hands. It was amazing.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So having like those small wins, because they really, really add up. We also talk about accountability and stuff like that. And so we'll have one person that's the host. So whoever last week was in the hot seat is the host. So it's not as though one person rules. Just because I started the group doesn't mean I, rule every time or anything. It really is very collaborative. And then each time, every person has a chance to be in the hot seat. So at one day, today we had Roderick in the hot seat. So when you're in the hot seat, you really have a good 30 minutes or so to bring an issue or problem that you're having and have all of the other minds really try and help you work it out. Sometimes it's sales pages. Sometimes it's super simple stuff. Sometimes it's super deep, trying to get past huge mindset issues and stuff like that. But whatever it is that they bring to the group is solely there to help you through it. Right? We're all here to help you through it, whether, like you said before, it's to sort of show you where your limits are and what's stopping, which is sometimes really uncomfortable, but really trying to get those breakthroughs and those amazing moments to happen. And of course, you can never tell. And at the very beginning, when we very first started, we didn't know each other well enough to really be able to call each other out. Like, it takes a warming up period to be able to call out someone, especially if you don't know them very well. But being able to have that trust is really where you can really start giving advice. And the other thing that we like to say is that we do want it to be constructive, right? Thankfully, the people in our group are really constructive and would never just take you down to take you down or be really negative or anything like that. So it's really about being constructive criticism. So that way they can take it and do something with it. And so that's usually the bulk of what we're doing. And then towards the end, whoever's in the hot seat has a resource. Right? So they bring one thing that they think, a website or a book or something like that that's been really cool in their life.
Plug-in,
Totally.
It could be anything.
Oh, yeah. A bunch of really cool things. We have a huge list of really amazing stuff, thankfully, coming up. And so, it helps us stay upfront on what cool stuff is going on that can be really helpful. And then at the very end, and what we used to do, I know we're sort of doing it more on our Facebook group now, is we talk about what we're doing the next week. So we put in action items on our Facebook group of going, okay, this week, these are the top things I need to get done. So that way the next week, we can really find out whether or not we did it.
Yeah. The Facebook group has been huge because not only are we there and we're able to write down our goals, which that in itself is really helpful. Everybody else sees it. We can comment on it. If somebody is just like, oh, I did that 2 months ago. Here's a PDF that I have that might help you. Little things like that can go a long way. And having the Facebook group there also midweek, if something comes up or if we have a quick question or something cool that we found, we just share it with the rest of the group. And, so I really love the Facebook page. Another group I'm in, the one I'm in with Cliff Ravenscraft, that one, our home, quote, home is on Basecamp. And the other one is done via email. So however you want to communicate. But I like Facebook, I like Basecamp because you can sort of archive those discussions. You can make a list of those tools and resources that you share or interesting websites that you find that are going to be helpful. And you can also scroll back and see almost kind of where you came from or what you worked on last year. And that's a huge motivator for me too.
Yeah, we started out with email, I think, and then we switched over to Facebook. And I'm in another mastermind group too, and we use Google Hangouts and Google Plus for that one too. It doesn't really matter whatever the format that you're doing.
And then, we limit the group to about 5-ish people, right? We've discussed adding more. And sometimes a couple people have left, and then we decide whether we want to sort of bring somebody else in, and then we have a discussion. Sometimes we talk a whole hour one week. Someone will set their hot seat aside if nothing's pressing to just discuss, okay, well, who should we ask together? And we all have to agree, and we all have to see how they might fit in the group and what they could bring to the table and things like that. So it's a very formal thing. There's like a very set number of procedures that happen in each meeting and when certain things happen. And I love that. Again, I've been in it for 4 years. My other groups are just like this, and it's just been incredibly helpful. So I think a good action item for those of you listening is if you're not in a mastermind group, try to get one. Find people who are in one and see if you can get in there, or you can start one of your own, just like Jaime did, and just like me and Cliff. We got together and we started one on our own, and we invited people in. So the one I'm in with Cliff has Leslie Samuel from becomeablogger.com, Mark Mason from Late Night IM, and also Michael Stelzner from Social Media Examiner. All different types of people, all doing different types of things, and podcasting and all sorts of things. Leslie's really focused on his biology blog, which is awesome and is so inspiring. We're learning so much from him. It's just you have to do it. Again, I would not be where I am today without the mastermind groups I've had in the past. So there's nothing more helpful than putting other people's brains together for you at a specific time when you're in need, and then you doing the same thing for somebody else.
Yes, and I want to tell people that it's not as hard, especially the starting, because a lot of people will come to me and be like, well, will you find me one, or where do I join one? I would change your thoughts to go, how can I start one? Because then you can really hone in on people that you want, and it's emails, seriously. I mean, you could stop right now and go, let me think of 10 people to email, because not everybody's going to do it. I usually say between 5 and 7. And I'm just going to send 10 emails and ask them if they want to be in mastermind group, because I've helped a lot of my clients set up mastermind groups and all that fun stuff. It's really not as difficult as you think. And so please don't stop yourself. This is where that no excuses point comes in, right? Mm-hmm. Just say, by this date, I'm going to have my mastermind group and the people that we want. And all it's going to take is today or tomorrow sending out 10 emails, or maybe start researching. If you're not really aware of your niche, exactly like who you want, start just trying to figure that out and just have a date. It's really much easier than you think.
Yeah, and a lot of people that I know who have gotten together to start mastermind groups are people that have gone to events together, or actually sometimes, and a lot of times, and I love this, whenever I go speak somewhere, I have a meetup, right? I run out a restaurant and I just, pay for everyone's meal, and they come out and we hang out. And a lot of times people make connections there and they start their own mastermind groups. There's a few that I did like 2 or 3 years back, and they're all still in mastermind groups together. And so whenever you can put yourself where other people who have the same values as you are, that's an opportunity if you can go out there and ask and just actually make it happen.
That's actually what I told some of my clients. If you're going out to an event, okay, second thing is like on your radar. Ooh, would they make a good mastermind group? Would they? Because meeting in person really solidifies that bond. Because we didn't meet in person for like 6 months or something like that. And it was always like, I don't actually really know these people all that much. Being able to really meet in person. I mean, and that's why we're doing an in-person meet in Austin this year. Really being in person when you can joke around and it's not just about just that hour. Because you want to make that hour that you have, very potent. Right? Mm-hmm. So you're not chit-chatting and stuff like that. But I highly recommend getting to know these people as people, right? And being able to joke around with them and become real friends too.
Yeah. And so if you can get together with the people in your mastermind group, if you have one or if you're going to start one, maybe you all are interested in one of the events that are going on during the year. Just all go to that one, hang out and just have dinner together, just get to know each other. When you come back to your weekly meetings, it's going to be that much stronger.
Definitely. It's always fun to see you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait. Jaime, thank you so much for coming on, and again, congratulations on your book. Where can we get more information about your book? Again, I'm just so proud of you, Jaime, because we've been together for 4 years, and to see where you came from to where you are now, and you have a book, and I want to write a book, and here you are coming out with it, and it's like a real book that you can hold. It's just, I'm so proud of you, and I'm so happy to just mention this because I want people to understand that you've obviously put a lot of hard work into this, but this is also great content that's really helpful too.
Thank you so much, Pat. I know we were both going to do books together. Remember, that was the whole thing on our mastermind group. Anyway, we'll talk
and then
about
I made
that
the decision
later.
on, okay, I have to put this aside because I'm not focusing on what I should be focusing on.
Totally. And sometimes it's a distraction. I totally get that completely. But you can find out more about my book at theeventualmillionaire.com. So it's got a trailer, but it also has the starter kit. So what we ended up doing was taking all the worksheets. It's a very action-oriented book. I'm all about action items. That's sort of all my thing, right? Because we're inundated with so much information nowadays. To me, what I care about is if you take one thing away, just do one action, that's what really matters. So we have a whole worksheets from the book that you can go download for free at theeventualmillionaire.com. actually one of them has templates for how to start a mastermind group on like what to email people and what you should say and all that fun stuff too. So you can get that there for free.
Sweet. So theeventualmillionaire.com.
Exactly, because the book's name is The Eventual Millionaire. That was my publisher's choice. So we can talk about publishers a different time.
Yeah, I'm sure we could. All right, Jaime, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you so much. And, good luck on the book launch.
Thank you so much, Pat. And I can't wait to have you on my show.
Absolutely. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. All right, I hope you enjoyed that interview with my dear, dear friend, Jaime Tardy from eventualmillionaire.com. You can head on over to theeventualmillionaire.com to pick up her book and check out the worksheets and the downloadable PDFs and all those things that go along with her book. Jaime, I know you're listening to this. Just, amazing job. Like I said on the show several times, I couldn't be more proud. You've done so much for me in the growth of my business. I know now with this book, you're going to be able to help thousands and thousands more. And we all just wish you the best of luck. And for those of you listening, I want to share something pretty cool with you, something I've actually never shared here on the podcast or even mentioned on the blog before. This was something that I actually put together at the end of my book, Let Go. It was an idea my team and I had to sort of get people who finish reading my book into a Pat Flynn book club. And so we have a little email opt-in form at the end of my book or a way to subscribe to this list. And every month what happens is people on this list get an email from me for a new book that I just finished reading or that I am reading. And I talk about the details of this book, why I'm reading it, what I'm learning from it, and some other cool insights from it. And this thing has just grown to hundreds of people, and I love it. And I don't know why I've never mentioned it here before, but if you would like to join this list, head on over. It's really easy. Just go to patflynn.com. It's really easy, patflynn.com, and at the top you'll see a link for my book club. And, I read all different kinds of books, and I share them on this newsletter once a month, from business books to personal development books, sometimes sort of more lifestyle type books, even a fiction book. I mean, I've mentioned a couple fiction books that I read as well. And this book club, which is just currently a newsletter, I can see it turning into something much bigger. And, it's been really helpful for the people who are there. And people are just, the feedback I'm getting from the current subscribers is nothing more than positive. Now, something to go along cool with that is our brand new sponsor to the show, audiobooks.com/SPI. Actually, I don't read most of these books that I talk about in my newsletter here, in my book club newsletter. I listen to most of them because it's just much easier for me to do that. I can do that, when I'm on a drive or when I'm running. I've been doing a lot of marathon training, and I've been running, and I've been listening to books while I run through audiobooks.com, and it's perfect. And I love that they're a sponsor for the Smart Passive Income podcast now. So if you head on over to audiobooks.com/SPI, that'll get you some really cool stuff. 30-day free trial, which is like normal for these types of promotions, but you also get a free credit to download any book that you want. So maybe this next newsletter that you get in my book club, you use this free credit to download that book and you can listen to it. But nobody else is offering this. In addition to both of those things, you also get Let Go, my book, my best-selling book, Let Go, the audio version, for free. It's exclusive there on audiobooks.com. So just again, thanks to audiobooks.com for sponsoring. You can get all of that at audiobooks.com/SPI. I hope to see you in the book club because it's awesome. It's forcing me to keep learning and keep educating myself. So I love that. And hopefully it's being helpful for you too. Thank you all for listening to the show. I love you guys. Any ratings and reviews, honest reviews on iTunes go a really long way. So thank you for that. I'll see you in the next episode 99 with somebody who is just doing a business model that I've never shared before, and it's blowing my mind, and I want to try it myself. And you'll hear how excited I am in that episode, which I actually just recorded today. And then the one after that is episode 100. Thank you so much for joining me. Here's to you and your success, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at www.smartpassiveincome.com.
Hey there, quick pause here because I have to tell you about a tool that completely transforms the podcasting workflow, Riverside. I get it. I used to juggle multiple platforms just to record one podcast episode. It was exhausting. Zoom for recording, Audacity for editing, and then a bunch of different apps just to create clips and social posts. I've tried other ones as well. They were okay, but They were clunky and super time-consuming. That's where Riverside has massively helped. I can do it all in one place: recording, editing, repurposing, one platform, one streamlined flow. I just log in, record with my guests no matter where they are in the world, and just like that, studio-quality audio and high-resolution video all in one. And get this, even if your Wi-Fi glitches, Riverside records locally on your device so everything sounds and looks crystal clear. But here's my favorite feature: Riverside's AI editing tool. You can remove silences and filler words with just one click. Hours saved. With Magic Clips, Riverside also automatically finds the best moments and turns them into ready-to-post videos for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, all without the extra editing. So if you're looking to level up your production quality and simplify your workflow, go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART. It's built by creators for creators, and I think you're going to love it. Look, I get it. You want to grow your business, but trying to sell to hundreds or even thousands of people gets very exhausting very fast. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? Score App helps you sell to more people without adding more to your plate. You build a quiz or assessment that your audience actually wants to take. Then they answer a few quick questions and get a personalized result right away. It shows them where they're at and what they need to do next and how you can help. And you build huge amounts of trust before you make even a single offer. No hard sell, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. All you have to do is just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI.